I think it's recording. Well, might not be. Lucy, can you see a light on the side?
But Doctor, is it recording?
See, what you did is questionable.
Is that offensive?
Yeah, probably.
Sorry. Sorry, everyone.
Welcome back to Doctor Who Review. I'm Chris.
I'm not Chris.
And we're here to talk about Season 20! Over 2 years ago we started our quest. Well, we started your quest to watch all of Doctor Who from beginning. And we've had a good time.
Everybody asks if I regret it. My answer is yes.
Really?
No, I'm joking.
Like, but you have been more reluctant. We have had to do a bit of a push this last couple of weeks.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Okay.
We'll get to it.
We'll get to it.
We'll get to it.
If we stand a little far apart, that's because Lucy's on the floor painting a rainbow for a work display.
I can paint a rainbow. I put way too much effort into this, and I will get nothing back from it.
A toddler will walk into the shop on like day one and tear it down.
Well, it's in the bloody window, so they'll have a good effort there, won't they?
Toddlers are strong and devious. As is the first villain of the 20th anniversary year of Doctor Who. This series, John Nathan Turner and co. decided that every story should feature either a returning villain or a returning element from the show's history so far. Each episode, each story should have something in it that's a big deal. And would tickle the collective...
Primordial pickle.
Tickle the collective taint of fans everywhere, especially those who've been watching for the last 20 years or at least been like reading some of the early Target novels. I don't believe it now. So join Peter Davison, Sarah Sutton, in the first story, Harken Infinity, which features the Doctor being summoned back to Gallifrey.
Gallifrey.
Sorry, Gallifrey now. It's Gallifrey now.
Bloody Gallifrey.
Yeah, because someone's been tinkering with the Matrix.
Oh, no, pet.
The Doctor's DNA print has been used. The Doctor's mind print has been accessing it. So he's brought back. He's accosted by the High Council's Royal Guard, and the head Time Lord's basically just like, look, soz mate, but like even if there's something using you to get free from, it appears, the antimatter universe they discover, like the universe of antimatter. Even if you didn't do this intentionally, something is using you as an anchor to get through. So we're gonna have to kill you, either to stop you being a traitor or to stop whatever it is using you as an anchor in the first place. So the Doctor is effectively sentenced to execution.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in Amsterdam. On Earth in 1993. There are two gents backpacking around Europe. They're in Amsterdam, and at no point do they get high. So, like, you know, what they're doing there. They try to sleep for free in a bloody, like, sewer opening, and are accosted by a wingless pterodactyl beast that can be best described as something that the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers went, maybe one more costume revision.
Maybe that's too much.
Like, it looks really cool, and then it moves. And you're like, oh... That's a shame. As with a lot of the monsters in the classic run, they don't sort of have a signature sort of movement, and as a result, you know, some of that's been figured out with the costume and with the performers to be like, this is how you're going to move. Mm. The closest I can think of was what was the one with the zoo in the projections?
Oh, the one with it was essentially a drug story.
Yeah. Oh God, it'll come to me. But
I don't know.
In that one, the monsters in that would just kind of walk around going. With their hands, do you remember?
Yeah,
except the one guy who's just sort of like.
Student.
Except the one guy who's just sort of like. Just hopping along, didn't give a crap. God, it's going to bug me what that story was now. Jesus wept. It was one of Tom's last ones. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Point is, this thing is a homunculi, who's working for the true villain, who's trapped in the antimatter universe and wants to get through with the Doctor's help, whether he wants to or not. Who was it, Boo?
It were Omega.
But it's never Omega.
It's never Omega.
But it was this time.
It was.
What do you make of... I mean, Omega returning. Last time we saw him was in the 10th anniversary story, The Three Doctors.
Whoopsie. Yeah.
What did you think? Because you pieced it together. It was like in episode 2 you randomly went, is it Omega? I was like, what makes you think that? What did make you think that?
I can't remember.
I
think it was the way he was talking. And I don't know. And it was very. I mean,
Was the antimatter universe a clue? That he was living outside of our universe?
Yeah,
and was
this villain was, aware of Gallifrey and the Matrix and stuff like that, and it was like, well, who else really knows about that apart from the Master? And if it were the Master...
Well, the Sontarans occasionally. Doctor! We'll chase you through a swimming pool. Yeah. So there was that, I suppose.
So that's what... Because the creature wasn't going on... I assumed it was Omega.
Fair enough. Look out there, one of our cats is sniffing the paint water.
Oh, just flick that right in my face.
We've got paint in your eye. It's a safe place. Oh, you just literally smeared paint all over your cheek. Good way.
It's just so people know I'm an artist now.
Oh, I see. She's wearing dungarees as well. Well, speaking of multiple colours, somebody makes an early appearance in this story, or at least an actor makes an appearance earlier than one may suspect. Who played Commander Maxwell?
Colin Baker.
Is that like a liqueur?
It's Colin Baker's cousin.
Oh, Colin Backway. Colin Bakwarinan. Yeah, Colin Baker was Commander Maxwell. What did you make of Commander Maxwell?
I thought he was fab.
He's great, isn't he?
I thought he was so dramatic, but in a good way.
Because he's basically the secondary antagonist of the story. Also, we think he's not. He's very much just doing his job. Is a bit trigger happy, a bit too ruthless to be the head of the guard. But as soon as he knows what is really going on, he's very much on the side of the good guys. It's not like he's been paid off or anything. He's a ruthless military man essentially.
Yeah.
And he rocks the outfit as well. Like the High Council's guard, we've seen them a couple times now, and they're great outfits. Like it's very Flash Gordon, I think was how you described it.
Extremely.
It's like sort of the Shazam colour scheme and all that stuff. And it's a really, really cool look. And it's like Colin rocks it.
Yeah,
in fact, he's on the box, I think.
He's got quite a smug face all the way through it.
Yeah.
Which is, I find quite funny.
Yes. But it means you get to see several scenes of Peter Davison and, little did anyone know it at the time, his successor, squaring off against each other in the show. Yeah. Sarah Sutton as Nyssa actually gets stuff to do.
Does she? I can't remember.
Yeah, because she teams up with that Gallifreyan and they try to sort of rumble the conspiracy that's going on. She's like, I know the Doctor's not done this. Like, not only have I been with him for the last, several months, I know he wouldn't try to do something like break down the universe and unleash the antimatter universe. Like, this is ridiculous.
Like, what would be the point?
Yeah. And, this Time Lord obviously respects the Doctor and believes her, this Gallifreyan. Because, the Doctor even says to him, please do let Leela know that I'm sorry I missed her wedding.
Yeah.
And you're like,
oh, yeah.
Well, one, you're a time traveller, so no excuses.
I know, God.
And two, wait, Leela randomly fell in love and followed through and got married. Oh, well, there you go. Okay. Sure, whatever.
That's something that's always bothered me. Oh, no.
Sorry, I can paint over that. In her rage, Lucy just flicked orange paint onto her red arch.
No! When the 10th Doctor is saying goodbye to it, all his previous companions, checking in on them.
Yeah.
In the specials.
Yeah.
And he finds out that the Brigadier has passed away.
He doesn't.
No, he does.
No, he doesn't.
Because the...
No, the 11th Doctor finds out the Brigadier's passed away, yeah.
Well, regardless.
Implying that the 11th Doctor, at least, if not previous incarnations, were regularly meeting him for a drink and a chat at his retirement home.
Oh,
not a cup of tea. Not a cup of tea.
Was good.
Yeah. Because the Brigadier would always have the worker at the care home pour out a second glass. In case he showed up. And often he did.
But, he didn't realise that he'd passed away. And he was really sad about it. Could he not just go back in time and be like, "Oh, hey, lad!"
Well, him meeting the Brigadier randomly at different points in his life is a theme that we'll get to. But our treacherous Time Lord in the High Council who's working with Omega is played by the one and only Michael Gough.
Yay!
His second role in Doctor Who at this point.
And he played it so well.
He was great, wasn't he?
He was really good, yeah.
But I think we're also slightly biased with the Michael Gough because we see him and we instantly have warm, fuzzy feelings.
Yeah.
Because to us, he's Alfred.
Alfred.
He's the Alfred we grew up with in the Batman films, so we were always like, yay, Alfred! Did he pop up in other Burton films? Is he in Sleepy Hollow?
I don't know. Do you know, I've not watched Sleepy Hollow in a long time, so I can't think of his face. All I can remember is Johnny Depp, the two...
well, you can only remember... You're randomly just going off on a tangent talking about who you remember from Sleepy Hollow.
No! I remember... Yeah.
Yeah, let's stop that tangent, shall we?
Sorry, family. Sorry, folks. We said before this that we won't go on tangents, and I was like, do you know who you got married to?
Well, the story goes on
tangents than Billy Connolly.
Here comes the segue. The story relies on tangents because randomly one of the people related to the hitchhikers in Europe, backpackers, is Tegan Jovanka.
I was nearly did my accent, but I chose not to.
No, you didn't choose not to. You looked at me as though to say, I shouldn't, should I?
I saw it in your eyes.
Tegan gets involved, and Omega essentially holds her hostage to force the Doctor to comply. And then Omega kind of uses the Doctor's imprint to move into our universe. Ultimately, it seems a rather sort of premature, like an act of desperation, and such his plan is executed prematurely. Because he essentially comes out looking like the Doctor, which is an excuse for Peter Davison to run around Amsterdam playing two parts. Because there's a lot of, look where we are, everyone. We've paid to be here. So let's shoot the streets. But unlike Paris and City of Death, they just sort of use the same 5 or 6 bridges.
They're not just crossing the road constantly.
Yeah. But, they're crossing bridges instead. Omega begins to deteriorate, like, almost immediately. Which leads to some pretty cool visuals of this man's face just getting more and more, like, gross and creepy, you know, and watching effectively the Doctor get, like, decayed.
Deteriorate.
But also it's that wonderful bit of, toward the end, it's clearly just the actor who plays Omega playing the part, because they sort of decay him to the point where he's covered in, like, a green,
so you can't
crusty
tell.
skin.
Yeah.
And is wearing a Peter Davison wig.
Quite a poor one, I remember.
I'm not a fan of Omega's appearance in this. But I don't think it's his visual appearance. I think I much prefer the triangle pointy head, Easter Island face, blue sparkly robe from the 3 Doctors. But I don't hate the plot here. I think it's great, makes sense. He's stuck in the antimatter universe. He's running out of time. So he makes a desperate attempt. It's a bit of a plan, but one where it could go horribly wrong. And it does. And ultimately he's defeated because he rushes things. And it's like, oh, shoot. Okay. Wow. But at the end of it, Tegan's like, well, I'm glad we're all reunited. See, that was a tasteful...
You bloody left me.
That was a tasteful accent there. I'm glad we're all reunited. And Nissa's like...
Left me at Heathrow, you bastard.
Well, Nissa says, like, I suppose we should get you back to London. She goes, no, I've lost my job. Doesn't matter. Fired. Let me come with you. And the Doctor just sort of was like, oh. Great.
Because she says, you're stuck with me now, and he's like,
yeah.
So it appears. And I was like, oh, fuck, son.
And as soon as that happened, you turned to me and you went, God, he hates her. I was like, that's kind of the vibe I think they're giving off. I think it's meant to be played as like oh God, here comes trouble.
Here we go again.
But they've not had that relationship. Their relationship has always been sort of, God, you annoy me. So it's weird. But I like Arkham Infinity. I think it's a really fun opener to the series.
Yeah.
Our next returning villain is bloody recent, so recent, they're a villain from last season. What's the basic plot? A snake dance, maybe. Sorry, snake dance.
I can't remember why do they get there? How do they get there? It's the... Oh,
the Mara is the name of the parasite, yeah.
Yeah. It's a long, long way in the future.
Well, they get there initially because Tegan starts having nightmares of the Mara again.
Tegan's having nightmares.
The parasite that appeared as a snake, or as a tattoo, and as a physical creature.
And it took over her brain.
Yeah, used her as one of its hosts, and she's been having nightmares of it. So the Doctor sort of induces a trance state and is like, right, let's get to the bottom of it. Where is it? Let's get it out of your head.
And she really doesn't want to, does she?
Yeah, because she's like, no, the nightmares are terrifying. And he's like, yeah, but this thing thrives off of existing sort of psychically and in nightmares and stuff. So the sooner we get rid of it, the sooner we figure out how to get rid of it, the sooner you'll be free, and the sooner we'll know it won't come back, ever again. But it leads them to Manusa, where... Let me find the name of them. The Lady Tanha is sort of preparing her son Lon for his major role as like sort of essentially the leader of the people.
Yeah.
Their father, as we find out later, really casually, just sort of, oh, he's gone mad. Anyway,
Still holding on though.
Still holding on, but you know he's not dead, so I guess we keep him around. But Lon, you're going to be in charge. Lon is played by whom, and what did you think of his performance?
I can't remember his name.
Rhymes with Barton Flumes.
Martin Flumes. Martin Clunes.
Martin Clunes, a very young Martin Clunes.
Yeah, very young. He plays it like an annoyed teenager. Or, no, more like an annoyed 20-something.
Camp Joffrey.
Yeah, really doesn't want to be there, doesn't want to do anything. He's so stupid.
The traditions, their people, and the Mara, and all these
and
stories.
Everybody's like, but it's tradition and you have to do it. And he's like, well, I don't want to. So I'm not going to.
But he acts like it's completely beneath him as well, doesn't he? He's like, well, this is fine. So you want me to do a ritual? You want to do a celebration to celebrate the ritual where one of our ancestors apparently killed this parasite thing called the Mara? No, thank you. How boring. And
Mother, you're going for a meal. Oh, I'm not going.
Yeah, sod it. I'm gonna stay here and faff with me globes.
I'm gonna faff with me snake. He does though.
And then, I'll go and find the Mara.
Ha ha ha.
Oh dear.
But yeah, no, he plays it really camp and not camp. Sorry.
Well, yeah, there's definitely a level of camp to it, but it's sort of foppish.
Sassy.
Yeah.
He's a sassy mofo.
He's great at it.
He is really good.
He might have been the best performer in it if it weren't for Janet Fielding really getting stuck in.
Getting hammy.
To playing something inhabiting Tegan's body. The scene where she sort of like in a tranced state, she just like buggers off into the market, and she ends up in the fortune teller's tent, and she's like she's sort of like half she's like half in trance, so she kind of knows where she is, but like the machinery's still sort of monitoring her brainwaves, and then she freaks out the fortune teller, and the Mara takes over. That scene is really good.
Yeah.
Proper spooky, and there's like the skull of the snake is in the crystal ball. That's some freaky shit.
Yeah, because the fortune teller's
because it's in the mirror, isn't it?
None of this is actually real. I just get paid for telling lies. This crystal ball's got nothing in it. And Tegan's like, oh, this crystal ball? And then there's something actually in the crystal ball. The woman freaks the frig out.
Yeah, and then Tegan goes talks to the Mara in the house in the Hall of Mirrors, and sort of recruits the showman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, he sort of gets forced. Yeah, Dugdale he's called, played by Brian Miller, the lovely Brian Miller.
He was amazing.
He sort of gets forcefully Renfielded, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And then later on, just straight up like, now you're possessed, and just standing around looking confused. They go to like the temple where the ritual normally doesn't take place, but for authenticity, it's going to be there this time. She meets with Lon and sort of converts him as well. So the Mara is basically sharing both of their minds, kind of. It's like it has two vehicles, but they sort of think independently at the same time. And the tattoo comes back, like the tattoo motif of someone who's got the Mara in their mind as the tattoo on their wrist. But the point of all this is like the academics of it all keep saying to the Doctor and Nyssa, obviously, like, right, we want to help Tegan, we want to know where she's gone, and we want to get rid of the Mara for once and for all. All the things related to it seem to be knowledge purposefully left out of everyone's reach by I'm trying to remember what the character's referred to as now. Is it Dojin? I can't remember which one it is now. Basically, the older...
Like the scientist... historian.
The older historian who's buggered off into the mountains. He's become what they would call a snake dancer. Yeah? Your title? Yeah?
Hey, shut it.
Like somebody who essentially, like, wriggles through history and the stories and understands them all and can speak to the parasite that, that the Mara can become and all these things.
Karoon.
So eventually it becomes... And he's sort of very reminiscent of the tribeswoman from Kinder. He kind of feels like he's from the same...
Yeah.
Cut from the same cloth of we have to have an elderly soothsayer. But this guy never speaks a line on camera. We hear his voice, but he never speaks on camera. Yeah. And we keep cutting to him a lot throughout parts 1, 2, and 3, to the point where when he actually appears in part 4, you're like, oh yeah, oh yeah, this guy. They're actually tying it in. The Mara is effectively, because it lives on fear, it uses everyone's terror at the ceremony. Like through Lon, it like makes one hell of a meal out of its arrival.
Yeah.
Like he goes along with the ritual and was like, oh, isn't this lovely? And his mother's like, oh yes, he's taking responsibility. Isn't this great? And then suddenly at the end he's like, no. And just starts to really turn it around and ham it up, full on villain monologue. And everyone's freaking terrified, as they would be. And
what bothers me is that he really wasn't interested in it before.
Yeah.
And then obviously he's like
possessed.
Yeah. And then he's like super casual about it, but he's into it now. And he wants to find, everything.
Oh, I want the original blue stone. Yes, like not this decorative crap. Like, bring me the original blue stone, the one that has to be used to channel the Mara.
Why is his mother not like? Oh, that's a bit weird. Why has he just gone? Why has he flipped it? And she just doesn't.
I'll tell you why. Because it's a 4-part kids serial that needs to get to the end.
I tell you what, it's forgotten that it's for kids. Maybe not necessarily this one.
This one does get
better.
This story does get a bit spooky. This story does get pretty spooky and intense at times.
Yeah. I think.
Especially at the end when the Mara just like emerges and this pretty decent puppet and everything. Again, different from last time, but it's a pretty decent puppet. Like where it starts to expand and grow. It looks really creepy. There's big old fangs, and it takes effectively takes like the Doctor and Nyssa to wear it down, and then Tegan to fight back. And there's this weird visual which I think is meant to be all dreamlike, but they sort of make it look like her face is in its mouth. But it's like, what is that?
I forgot about that.
Do you know what I mean? No, but you know what I mean? It's like, have they become one being, or is it metatextual? Or are they just really chuffed with the idea of, so if we have the snake puppet, we can sort of superimpose your head into its mouth and it's like, it's eating you. So what is this? But it's not eating us, so it's like, what is this for? There's some great visuals in this one. The sets in this were phenomenal as well. Like the cavern and the secret treasure room, the Hall of Mirrors, like the kingdom and everything. Like it looked great.
It did.
And I think we liked Kinder, and it could have done with a bit more of the weird, nightmarish, pseudo-Edwardian stuff that was in Kinder.
Yeah.
It could have done with more of that. Like, the closest we get is that the longer Tegan's possessed, the more you start to see, like, the red lipstick marks on her teeth from the last story.
Yeah, at first I thought, makeup's gone a bit askew.
It's gonna drift from the earth.
And then he started to look like that, and it was like,
oh, it's from the last one. But like it could have done with a bit more of that. But I've got to say, out of the 2 Mara stories, I think this is the best one. They're both strong.
Yeah.
They're both pretty strong, but this one's, I don't know, it's just got the right amount of like stuff that they're learning. You were saying at the time, learning about the culture of the planet. This is one of the few occasions where you really do feel like they've developed it all to the point where they're so proud of it, and they want you to know it, like inside and out, so that you understand what's at stake, or what's at snake. I like Snakedance. What about you?
I thought it was good.
Hey,
it's got a lot of holes, but oh well.
It's also one of several stories in this series that were in box sets. We got this in a box set with no name that just had Tegan's face on it and Time Flight. We got this in a box set called Mara Tales. And this next one was in a box set because it's the start of a trilogy of stories. This was in the Black Guardian trilogy box set. Our next returning villain, the Black Guardian.
Well, so you tell them about this. I'm just going to quick go through this.
Oh my goodness! See what's happening here, boys and girls. Is you know how Lucy was getting enthusiastic just then about this series again. This story kicks off another thing she's not enjoying. So, Mawdryn Undead tells a story of stranded alien Turlo, who's in disguise as a human at like an old boys kind of academy, being contacted by the Black Guardian, one of the Eternals or Celestials. I think they're Eternals, aren't they? That kind of thing. The Black Guardian, who we've not seen since since the Key to Time, specifically since the last part of the Key to Time season, season 16, I want to say, with the Doctor and Romana and K9, and the Black Guardian recruits Turlo and basically is like, the Doctor's going to get here soon. You'll know him when you see him. If you kill him, I'll help you get off world. And Turlo's like, if you're all powerful, why don't you kill him? And the Black Guardian's like, I can't have shown my hand on this. Oh, it's Peter Davison.
It was a little harder than I thought.
To do what?
What?
Doctor, you sound exhausted. What have you been doing?
My hands.
Washing my hands.
Hands.
It's all right. Perfectly fine now.
Covered in paint. It's good now.
So, Turlo was suddenly approached by the Doctor because what the heckington is going on involves the TARDIS arriving. There's a space station, like an orbiting thing.
The space station.
And a relay at a statue. The Doctor ends up with Turlo, and the TARDIS ends up shifting slightly and arriving at the wrong time. So the Doctor arrives there from the satellite and is in like the 80s. And Tegan and Nyssa arrive in the TARDIS, what they think will be a few minutes behind him, when in fact they've arrived in the late 70s. Forget the dates, everybody. Continuity only exists if they then say it exists.
Out the window.
The unit debate is about to get even more complicated, because who is teaching mathematics at this boys' academy? None other than Sir Alistair... Oh, he's not Sir yet, is he? But Alistair Gordon Lethbridge Stewart, the former Brigadier of the United Nations Intelligence Task Force. Nicholas Courtney returns to the show! Which made you very happy.
So happy.
It's Nick Courtney.
Because Christopher didn't let me see the cover.
Yeah. I didn't tell her anything about the story.
He made me close my eyes when the menu started, because sometimes most times it spoils it, doesn't it?
Well, I said to you, like, just in case, I said, there's a couple of things in this that I think you'll find really cool, so just, like, I'm going to mute it, and then when it starts, like, just close your eyes and I'll tell you when I've started the story. Were you glad?
Yeah, because when he appeared, I was like, it's my boy!
I know the Tom era sort of became more your favourite once it started, but have you missed Unit a little bit? Do you feel
a little
like
bit, yeah. Because we
and,
spent so much time with them.
Yeah.
It's hard to be separated.
And it's kind of interesting because they choose to bring us back into the Brigadier's life after his retirement and whilst he's taking a teaching job, because he just doesn't like sitting still. Like, he wants to do something, so he starts teaching.
I'm not going to lie, I don't really understand why they went, like, back in time a little bit. I don't understand any of that. That was extremely confusing to me.
What do you mean? Oh, why the Doctor and Tegan and Nyssa arrived at different times? Well, when they beamed down from the station, the Doctor went down in like the capsule that's there, that's meant to like transport you to a certain point. Him and Turlo went down in that with the TARDIS tagged to follow on, but something went askew and the TARDIS arrived like 6 years early.
Right.
So the Doctor arrives and suddenly meets Alistair, and Alistair doesn't recognise him, doesn't know him, doesn't remember half the stuff that they did, but he's very surprised that the Doctor knows about Unit. He's like, no, that's all top secret. Why are you talking about that? And this and the other.
Keep your voice down.
Meanwhile, Tegan and Nyssa arrive in the same spot 6 years earlier and bump into a man called Alistair Gordon Lethbridge Stewart, who recognises the TARDIS and is like, wait, the Doctor's been here. What's going on? You're like, Nicholas Courtney's had to film this in separate segments so he can have a moustache sometimes and no moustache and grey hair the other time.
I didn't quite recognise him without his moustache, and then he started talking, and I was like,
yeah. It's a Brigadier! So, essentially what's going on is they find the satellite involves this race, including Mawdryn, who are the Mawdryn Undead. They are a powerful race who tried to steal the secrets of regeneration from the Time Lords once upon a time, and as punishment, the Time Lords basically exiled them in an unending state of life. So they are immortal, but they don't regenerate. They've lived for eons, and they are decaying, and they long for some change. Like, they want to regenerate, or at least be able to die.
They long for death,
They long for death, but they want regeneration, because they want, they're like, we're so close. So the plot of the story essentially becomes that they're going to take the Doctor's remaining regenerations to save themselves. Yeah. And he's in that moral conundrum of like, he doesn't want to give him his remaining regenerations because they've been punished for trying to steal, secrets of the universe that the Time Lords hold on to. Little does he know that technically they stole it from him.
What?
We'll get to that in a couple of years' time. But, yeah, so that becomes sort of the conundrum of it all. And it's like, other doctors, would probably go like, yes, I will give you my remaining lives. But this doctor's kind of reluctant to do it. And it's probably because he's in that moral thing of, but you're being punished by my people. You know what I mean? Like, you need to, like, I'm not going to save you from that. Because they don't appear to be up to anything horrid or devious, but they're pretty goddamn devious in getting hold of what they want. I mean, Mawdryn pretends to be the regenerated doctor.
Yeah.
And Nyssa, Tegan, and the younger Brigadier the Younger have to kind of go along with it in the hopes of like...
Nyssa knows that
it's Tegan feels it's not him.
Oh,
it's Tegan really doesn't feel it's not him.
Yeah.
Whereas Nyssa and the Brigadier are like, look, let's...
But what if it is him?
Yeah. Even though his brain's exposed and all that stuff. But he's...
Oh, yeah, he did look creepy. He looked cool.
He was great as well.
Yeah.
The actor actually played Mawdryn, did a great job. What's the names, mate? David Collins, he did a really good job. But we also learned that the reason the Brigadier forgot about the Doctor is because 6 years hence, 6 years prior, something traumatic happened to him that gave him a nervous breakdown. And he's just had lapses in memory, specifically of stuff from shortly before he took residence at the school as a maths tutor. And you're like, right. And then you start to piece it together when you realise that Tegan and Nyssa are in the Brigadier's timeline 6 years prior to the Doctor arriving. And you're like, oh, something in this story is going to happen to the younger Brigadier. What it is bloody brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're meant to be kept apart. Meanwhile, Turlo's like, do I stab the Doctor? What do I do? And the black guy's voiceover was like, I don't chuffing know. Just kick him.
I've got a crow on my head.
I've got a crow on my head. I don't have any clue. Kick him in the tits.
And I'll only speak to you through this little cup that you get in primary school.
I'll only speak to you through this McDonald's promotional shot glass.
God, can you imagine if they actually did though?
Well, they did like tumblers in the 90s.
Yeah, but not shot glasses.
True.
I'll do a shot of McFlurry.
Yeah, all right, fair enough.
Yeah.
I'll do a shot of Big Mac sauce.
Ew.
You know you want to.
No, I don't.
So now think about it. So yeah, essentially everything gets shorted out, and you realise what the trauma was because it was the Brigadier meeting the Brigadier,
Yes.
and they like touch hands and everything implodes.
Oh!
So they all pass away. Oh God, we get that bit where they sort of force their condition onto Tegan and Nyssa. That's the further the TARDIS gets away from the ship, the more they decay.
Yeah.
But because it's time related, the moment they go back, it reverses.
Yeah,
so it's.
yeah.
But that was horrific. Imagine being a kid watching that. You'd shit yourself, wouldn't you? Yeah. I really like Mawdryn Undead. I like it a lot. I think it's pretty funky.
Yeah. There was one thing in it though that I couldn't get past.
Oh, what was that?
Turlo's friend.
Oh,
the
you mean
way he ran.
You mean oh Jesus, what's the
Jeffrey, George, Wilfred,
William? What's the name of the kid? Oh
Alfred.
God, the kid, the books of the TV series, the kid with the diary.
Oh, Adrian Mole.
Adrian Mole. He was like he'd been shat out of an Adrian Mole story or something. But you know exactly what I mean, right? It's that kind of vibe. It was very odd. He was odd.
They were my mums.
He was like shit Samwise. He was just like, what is this?
No, the thing was, when he ran, and he ran a lot, because he had to run across a whole field, it was as if, it was that really goofy thing where, they look like they're going to fall over, and he's flailing his arms.
And it doesn't help
But he didn't do that as in, once every,
Ibbotson. Yeah, it
20 metres. He did it the whole time. Like, he was trying to fly. It was like, Jesus.
It doesn't help.
And you're also 30.
Well, that's the thing. It doesn't help that him, Stephen Garlick, and Mark Strickson, Turlo, both do not look like they are boys' academy age.
Not at all.
At all.
They are in their late 20s.
They look like they're in their mid-30s.
It's shocking.
It's so shocking. Bizarre. But I really like Mawdryn Undead. Well, I think what took you out of it was at the end of the story, when you realised Turlo's plan wasn't done yet, you went, he's not coming with them, is he? Terminus! The Doctor and chums land on a ship at the same time as two space cadets, and we'll get to their goddamn costumes in a second. But turns out that the satellite, the ship itself, is Terminus, essentially a rejected and left to rot space freighter carrying lepers.
It's a leper colony.
It's what a dark, bleak idea for a plot. It's a great setup.
Yeah.
It's a shame that the rest of it's kind of shite. So there are... Right, okay, let's start with the good, because I feel like we're just going to be shitting on this story. The design of this is great. The corridors of the ship feel dingy and left to just, like, rust.
Yeah.
The makeup for the sickly people looks great.
It does look great.
The costumes...
Like a plague victim.
The costumes for our cadets look fantastic, bar one element. The costumes for the guards who are like sort of staying there on the ship, who are part of the whole the lore of it. Their costumes are amazing.
Yeah, they do.
It's like skeletal muscle tissue armor made of gold.
Yeah. Like it made me think of Bram Stoker's Dracula at the beginning when Dracula is in his armor and it looks like muscle.
Yeah.
It made me think of
that. And the Garm, the big wolf creature.
Yeah. That was cool.
It's like terrier, really. It's got terrier. Yeah, that's the same kind of eyebrow hair. And
it does. And the snout.
But they look great.
It was scary, but he did look like a big plushie.
Yeah, but not like in a way that sort of detracted. It was sort of like, no, fair enough. Like, do you know what? Looks
good.
If
I saw that coming towards me, I would poo.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Problem is, none of the costume work in this looks like it belongs in the same story.
No.
That was a huge distraction because once you realised, wait, these all exist in the same time period.
Oh, it's all the same ship.
Oh.
What is happening?
Oh no. Yeah, this was... I got bored. I got really bored.
Well, it was essentially like a radiation kind of story, wasn't it? That like the engines were exploding and people like being burnt and...
The guy who'd gone nuts was great. With his weird little vocal too. He's sort of...
he was really, really
everything
good.
just
as
before
if he was
every
in a
sentence.
lot of pain and kind of going insane from it.
He sort of ended... It was like, oh, okay, that's a neat little tick. And his scarring looked great. There's some good stuff in here, but some of these just kind of... I mean, Turlo and Tegan spend the majority of the story in the vents.
Yeah. Why?
Yeah.
Even though they were told to stay in the TARDIS.
This is Terminus! It's a leper colony! We're all going to die! Their hair, fabulous. So fabulous that their entire species have designed astronaut helmets to not disrupt their hair. Do you remember when those two rocked up on the ship? We were like, wow, those costumes are amazing. Oh.
What is that on their head?
Oh, light bulbs? What is happening?
They are pretty much like, you know, like the fish bowls, the globe fish bowls, but just squash it a little bit to the side.
They look like Morbo.
Yeah, they do.
Morbo's head.
God.
It's a helmet. Purely human.
Yeah, it does look like that. That was laughable.
There's some cool stuff in it. I remember Peter being very strong in this one.
Yeah.
Like, I remember him being great. And you know, you've got the stuff... oh, God, was that stuff toward the end where it just got really kind of like, oh, shit. Like, this is getting really serious now.
Well, Nyssa got infected, didn't she?
Yes. And then disappears for most of the story.
Because she's kind of, like, dragged into the rest of the plague victim people.
Which should have felt scarier than it was. And I don't think that's Sarah Sutton's fault. She plays it super well. But the story just kept cutting back and forth so much.
They could have done so much with it, and they just didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't like the set as much because it just looked like a 90s skate park with all the skulls on the walls and all the piping, and it was just like, oh my
and also
gosh,
there's a
here
weird
we go
fascination.
again, another ship.
There's a weird fascination in this series with firsts, specifically like Dawn of Time incidents with this era.
Yeah.
Adric and the spaceship in Earthshock create essentially the crash that is the meteor that wipes out the dinosaurs. In Castrovalva, the TARDIS is briefly nearly dragged into the Big Bang. In this story, we find out that this spaceship creates the Big Bang.
Yeah.
It gets lobbed through time and the radiation births the universe. And you're like, what?
That escalated quickly.
Where the hell did that come from? But also
So
at the end...
essentially, the Doctor is involved in the creation of the universe and the planet Earth.
And everything. It's just... I don't flaming know. At the end,
What the hell?
Nyssa chooses to stay behind because teaming up with the big
Reasons.
old wolf boy, they realise that... Because the Garm was being forced to basically work on behalf of the guards, and it held the cure to the stuff the whole time.
Yeah.
But he wasn't allowed to do that. And then it was kind of like the Beast guys in Warrior's Gate. The last time we had a companion sort of leave all of a sudden with Romana.
Yeah, they need help, so I'm going to stay.
And that's what happens here.
At least she didn't fall in love with the dog creature and was like,
No, we don't know that. And same we don't know here. We don't know if Nyssa was like, oh, this dog creature. I thought you meant Romana with the big cat dog boys.
Yeah.
What is it with stories with I have to stay and help them and also hairy boys? Basically, all the companions of the JNT era are massive furries, which is fair enough, no judgment. But also, weird exit for Nyssa. At least she exits, like you said, because she's like, I can help them. I'm going to stay and help. And the Doctor's like, oh.
It makes sense because
I'm a Time Lord. I could also stay and help, but sod it. Bye! I'm going to leave with my new ginger friend.
I'm a teapot.
Hello, I'm a teapot.
Yeah, but I've got to say, I felt absolutely nothing when she left.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I feel like Sarah Sutton could have given so much more to this show, and the show just never let her do it. The most variety...
She had a really blank face.
The most variety Nyssa ever gets is in Keeper of Track and her debut.
Yeah.
And then this series, the variety they give her is, we're going to change your outfits, finally. And she starts to dress sort of more earth girly, kind of trendy. It's like, okay.
Well, sort of.
She has a look. No, but like, do you know what I mean?
It was the 80s.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, so they start to give her more contemporary fashions.
Yeah.
Almost as like she's taking off of Tegan a little more.
Yeah.
Although Tegan spends this series in the same bloody outfit
she was
until
in
the
a
last
different outfit.
two.
The first episode, we were like, oh yeah, change.
Woo!
And then,
And
you're
then she
in
wears
it the
that
whole time.
John Nathan Turner likes his cartoony sort of like silhouettes, as evidenced by the fact that as we move on to Enlightenment, Turlo is also still wearing his schoolboy outfit. The 30-year-old man is wearing a schoolboy outfit, boys and girls.
Jesus, he's annoying.
Welcome to Enlightenment. Again, would you say it's because of Mark Strickson's performance, or that disconnect of the fact that he's clearly not this young boy that everyone's referring to him as? It sort of feels like if you're watching... Do you know what it feels like? If you were watching a theatrical performance of Lion Witch in the Wardrobe, and it's done in that classic touring way of it's like 6 adults playing every part, you could absolutely buy that this was Edmund.
Yeah.
You'd be like, sure, absolutely buy it.
Yeah.
But because everyone around him is cast to age, and I don't even think Mark Strickson is like that old here. So this is 83, right? So 59, 69 is 10, 79 he was 20, yeah. So he's in his mid-20s.
Oh dear.
But he still kind of feels older, and I think that's because
Sorry.
I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the RP. Like the fact that everybody sort of talks like this. And
you know what I think it is, in all honesty?
Go on.
Them bloody eyebrows.
His eyebrows are a marvel.
He's got bloody invisible
He's got
eyebrows.
Matt Smith eyebrows.
Very
Do you see these eyebrows? These are non-existent eyebrows.
I also think that the Doctor's got no connection. I mean, he's trying to kill him. Why did he come on the TARDIS apart from wanting to kill the Doctor? Why does the Doctor think he's come on the TARDIS?
It does feel weird, doesn't it?
It's so random. And it's obvious that he doesn't want Tegan on the TARDIS because he pulled his face when she came back.
Yeah, there seems to be an ongoing thing in this era of, do any of these guys have an actual connection?
Yeah.
Or do they have a connection?
No, it doesn't feel like they do at all.
Like, with Sarah and the Doctor, like, these guys are best mates. You know what I mean? First Romana, they've been lumped into this. Second Romana, they're mates. She's chosen to stay.
Proper mates.
You know, Leela, she's curious. He's like, oh, I'm going to take her under my wing and teach her stuff and show her the universe. You know, like, you feel like there are relationships developing.
Yeah.
I mean, even Adric, at first, to a point, you're like, I get it. It's a protege kind of thing. He looks up to the Doctor as an intellectual and wants to learn from him.
Yeah.
But at this point, it feels like he doesn't want to travel with any of them.
He's being forced to do it, and that's why I've not been as interested, because it's just very meh.
Well, we have to up the stakes then. How about a race to find enlightenment, a source of great power and knowledge? The premise of Enlightenment is flipping great.
Yeah, it's...
Eternals, beings like the Celestial Toymaker, the Black and White Guardians, albeit maybe not as influential as them over the course of the universe, but like eternal beings who exist beyond corporeal form. Like if they die, they simply disappear and come back at another point, because that is their lot in their eternal life. Our board decide to race to Enlightenment, and in doing so turn it into a game. They have vessels in space. They decide to pick vessels based on Earth history.
Yeah.
So like, you know, Edwardian bloody mariners and Greek sort of vessels and Viking longboats and pirate ships, and you know they're going to race through space.
To be honest.
They take what they call ephemerals, basically actual humans, pluck them from their time period, people who would be the right people to sail
That
these
would
ships,
use those ships, yeah.
and they sort of effectively zonk their brains a little bit, so that they just kind of go along with it.
They just think that they're there. Yeah.
Specifically, it's in like the food and the drink. And they're just all like, yeah, we don't remember enrolling. We're not really sure what's happening, but we're going to get paid. And the idea is they're going to race to Enlightenment. Good, clean race. But if there's a risk of things going wrong, it's fine. The Eternals will simply fade away and then come back another day. The Ephemerals with them, however, will snuff it.
Will that?
So that's where the Doctor gets pissed off about this. He's like,
yeah.
You're playing with human minds and human lives for entertainment.
That's no good.
And the thing is, the Eternals they make a point of being like, we don't torture them or do cruel things to them. It's like, you've plucked them away, you've basically rehypnoled their food, and you're making them pretend. And you're forcing them to believe in your game of pretend that they're sailing a ship to a good thing, or they're going to be home tomorrow. Or like, this is horrible. And Tegan is shocked and disturbed by all of this, but she can't quite process it for just a second, because one of the Eternals has the massive hots for her and won't leave her the frick alone.
Yeah, he's obsessed with it.
My theory is this. That Eternal swings one way, and she's the only female ephemeral that's appeared in the story so far. Because he keeps wording it as like, you know, you're fascinating, and yes, like there's something about your mind, because they sort of, the Eternals, whether they plan to or not, low-key just read your mind the entire time they're talking to you.
Yeah.
And he's just sort of like, your mind, it's incredible. I need you. You understand? You're like, Jesus, mate, back off. But the Doctor
something called being too eager.
Yeah, well, the Doctor and Tegan kind of go along with everything because they want to learn as much as they can. When the Doctor notices that all the recreations of these Earth things are exact, except there's these couple little differences. Like the head of the Greek fleet, for example, has this ring which is very much not of that time.
Yeah.
And that recurring thing continues when we realise later it's a I can't remember what they call it now, but it's like a bridge almost.
Like a focus point.
Yeah, was it the focus?
Something like that.
Might have been, but it was. It's a crystal, a red crystal. We realise that one of the ships is cheating. Captain Rack, specifically on the Buccaneer, is leading other Eternals to crash because she's basically like, no, I'm taking this competition seriously. I don't care about the human lives. Sod it. Rack is played by Linda Barron. The wonderful Linda Barron, who prior to this was the singing voice of The Last Chance Saloon and The Good Fighters, and then rocks up again in not Cold Open, what are we talking about? Closing Time in Series 6 with Matt Smith. The moment she rocks up on screen, though, of course, our instant reaction to seeing her is to start singing, Look up, look down, look all around. Up in the air and on the ground. You forgot the theme of it. Yeah. Oh my god! All right, but
I only know that because when I have something in my eye, that's what you sing.
But what is the name of the cute doggo?
Oh shit, Pippin.
Yay! And Mabel, Auntie Mabel, and Pippin. Auntie Mabel and the 17 dogs that played Pippin.
And go outside.
Let's go. Oh, see how they put lids on milk bottles. Quick, get in our plane and let's fly.
How do they make cheese?
For anyone who's confused, there was a programme for very young kids in the UK called Come Outside, where Linda Barron starred as a lady called Auntie Mabel, who, along with her dog Pippin, would get in polka dot planes and travel to places. But essentially, it was to teach kids about like factories, farming, like transport.
How does a canal work?
Yeah, but how does These
are all actual
you remember the damn episode as well. Because it was on one of the compilation videotapes with like Spider in the Bath and things like that.
Oh my god!
Yes.
James the Cat.
James the Cat. Williams, Wish Wellingtons, Rupert the Bear. Like they're all shoved onto the tape.
People.
Partington Peas. The Partington Peas.
The herb gun.
Noddy. Yeah, Parsley. Parsley the Lion. Oh my god.
Oh,
So Linda Barron's a very wholesome character to us. She's a very wholesome presence. The moment we see her, we're like, yay!
Pingu? Did they have Pingu on it?
She's not in Pingu.
No,
It did have Pingu on it.
Why is his dad ironing clothes? They're penguins. They don't want to wear clothes.
Tangent.
Sorry.
Linda Barron's great in this. She's proper villainous. She's not playing it as like, I'm evil. She's just ruthless. She's a ruthless pirate captain who wants to win.
Yes.
What do you think of the costumes in this one?
Fantastic.
What?
I like the spacesuits
The spacesuits
when they go
are
out on
great.
deck.
Spacesuits are
They
amazing.
look really cool. I liked...
The pirate attire looked amazing.
Really cool, yeah. There's like a party to be a distraction.
Yeah, where they got all the heads of the ships to come over to celebrate.
Yeah.
Oh, we're all having fun, aren't we? And that's when she gives everyone a focus. She hypnotises Tegan and puts one in her tiara.
Yeah.
So that when they go back, that's a focus that she can use the psychic energy to blow up the ship. But you saw all the costumes on show because you see like the Chinese imperial outfits and the different pirate looks. The guys from the main ship all go across and suddenly it's like you're watching Titanic.
Yeah.
Like they're all in that kind of sort of tuxedo and everything. But you realise the reason she's more ruthless is because she genuinely wants to win Enlightenment because she's going to have it shared with her, or so she thinks, by the Black Guardian. The Black Guardian is helping her win to get to it.
Yeah.
The Black Guardian at this point has given up on Turlo to the point where every time Turlo tries to talk to him, he's just like, piss off, you grotty little wanker. Like he's a second away from saying that. Yeah? Yes?
Did he actually say that?
No. But he could have done. Should have done.
He should have.
Um,
Talking to his little cup.
Want to go take a dump in Mother Maggie's shoes?
Shut up.
Yeah, because Turlo teams up with her and he genuinely wants to, help her win.
Oh, what the hell?
He's such a little villain.
He's doing an Adric thing of, I need to protect myself.
Yeah. But then we get to the end and the Doctor and Tegan and Turlo arrive to find, at the point of Enlightenment, the Black and White Guardians. Because the White Guardians back in this story, he tries to warn them at the beginning and then he's in the conclusion. Essentially, Turlo is given the choice of Enlightenment.
Mm-hmm.
Does he take it and remain enlightened? Does he take the power for himself and it's given to him in the form of a diamond, basically?
Yeah, diamonds, yeah.
Because it's playing to his greed.
It's essentially crystals and some ice cubes.
Because the pirate captain, she sort of reads his mind. She's like, you're just greedy. You'll do whatever you want to win. Whether or not that's good for me or not. It doesn't matter. I'll have to figure that out. But, you are a selfish, greedy child.
That's alright, the Doctor kills her.
Yeah.
And the first mate.
Yeah.
Push him out of this shit.
Yes, because there's a bit where you think that maybe Turlo and the Doctor have been made to walk the plank. Nope, they've killed two Eternals. Well, they don't. The get around is they haven't killed them because the Eternals reappear, of course, in another form later.
Yeah, but the
That's
Doctor
whole
was
point.
fine with pushing them off of the ship.
Yeah. Yeah, and when they arrive, they fade away and they'll arrive in a garden and a Scottish woman dressed like Mary Poppins will be like, did my boyfriend push you or did you jump? And we'll never find out the answer. The point is that...
Oh, Jesus.
The point is that Turlo makes the right decision in the end and he throws the Enlightenment to the Black Guardian. And MacGuffin McGee, Enlightenment itself is about the light and goodness in the universe and it burns the Black Guardian up.
He sets on fire!
A pretty impressive visual. And to be fair, Valentine Deol, who plays the Black Guardian, who's got an amazing voice.
And his name was Valentine.
I think he reacts the way anyone would react if they were on fire. He starts coughing and sputtering as the fumes hit him. It's really weird though, because you kind of expect it to be like, oh no!
He did do that.
He does, but he's also like, oh, could I have a glass of water, you grotty little wanker?
Get the fire blanket!
Yeah.
It's in the kitchen!
And then, but of course, during the scene, the Doctor's obviously twigged that, wait a minute, Turlo was working with the Black Guardian.
You bastard.
But because Turlo makes the right decision at the very end, the White Guardian and the Doctor just are like, cool, alright.
Let's call it squared.
I'd love to see Enlightenment revisited. I'd love to see a modern series episode take on the idea of the Eternals and their competitions.
Or where the Doctor just stabs him.
Sure.
I'd watch that.
I don't mean Turlo being in it. I mean, the Doctor, they're getting caught up in the games of the Eternals. What did we mention?
Tegan started feeling really unwell. When she realised that they were on a ship, she was starting to feel a bit seasick.
Yeah.
And so this creepy guy who really, really fancies her took her to...
Who at the end she basically is just like, piss off, mate! And they leave him behind.
See ya! I thought it was going to be like, oh, if there's an end for Tegan and she goes off with this Eternal, get out. I'm not watching anymore.
But when she comes to...
When she, in this room, we saw it when she first went in, and she drank a drink and she passed out.
And this sort of, it builds up, because when she wakes up, there's like more stuff.
Yeah. Her air hostess outfit was hung up.
Her fancy dress outfit. Was it Aunt Lydia is her name?
Well,
or Linnea?
So her auntie is picture.
Aunt Lavinia?
Her auntie's picture is on
whoever it is.
the on the bedside table,
and
there's like things from her old room. She said that her room in Brisbane and like her room in the TARDIS have kind of blended in together. And it was like, oh, that's pretty cool, that.
Because they low-key read your mind.
Yeah,
and they that Eternal catered the room to it.
For it, yeah. Which that was really cool.
So Turlo sticks around for some reason. And suddenly we end up not that long before the signing of Magna Carta in a kingdom specific here. The court of King John of England is at the castle of Sir Ranulph Fitzwilliam, who, before we carry on, the Fitzwilliam family, they're all great. Like, all the people who live there, like, they are great in this.
Yeah.
The supporting cast, they are wonderful. And the script, pretty damn solid in this. The colloquialisms of the time, like, the way everybody addresses one another, it's like, yeah, that's pretty great. But King John's there, and he's out of sorts. His champion, Sir Gilles Estram, is hanging around a bit. And when the Doctor arrives, they realise that Fitzwilliam's cousin has got back, and he's like, yeah, I just got back from London. The King is in London. Unless he rode at the same time as I and has a faster horse, that's not him. So the mystery's pretty good. And it made even more bizarre that when the Doctor, Tegan and Turlo come out of the TARDIS near the jousting tournament, everyone's shocked, and the King's just like, demons. Like the Lord has sent us demons. Come, demons, let me entertain you. Join in the celebrations.
Demons.
Matt Damon's.
I was like, this could be interesting. They brought something back.
Well, no, because you'd remembered that every story has a returning element of some kind. Yeah. Terminus is cheating because it's the Black Guardian again, but also Nyssa leaves, so it's kind of an event, maybe.
I don't think they know either.
And this one is the Black Guardian, but also the White Guardian. This time, the returning element is completely different. Do you want to tell everybody the basics of what goes on? Someone's meddling with history. Someone's trying to disrupt the signing of Magna Carta and sort of hiccup
a relationship
governmental development
and treaties and
not in a way that will drastically change history at first, but this is just one stop on their tour of things they're going to feck with. In a grand scheme to eventually be able to rule democracy of the planet and take charge step by step quietly over time, and then. But basically, there's a villain playing a long game.
Yeah.
And Earth is their first sort of I'm going to try it out here first. Let's see how it works.
Yeah.
Who be that villain, son?
It's the Master!
Sir Gilles, the King's right-hand man, and his Black Knight, his jouster, his champion.
It took me most of the episode to figure it out.
Because this is a two-parter.
Not like me.
Two-parter, and it was literally about 2 minutes to the reveal at the end of episode 1. You went, is it the Master? And I was quite surprised it took you this long, not because I'm like, you're normally sharper, but because this is the first story where he's been in disguise, out of the few we've seen with Ainley, where they're very upfront about it in a way. Not like, it's him, but they are bold as hell. Sir Gilles is in every scene from the start of the episode, and he's got prominent dialogue. But
it's a terrible accent.
But it was as the sword fight began, wasn't it?
It was his face. I thought to myself, that's a terrible makeup job.
Yeah, you said it was a smirk. He sort of smirked a certain way, and you twigged that the nose was mostly makeup, and then you went, "Is it the Master?" I was like, "What makes you think that?" And of course, when I say that,
face, and I was like,
But
Bingo.
kudos to Anthony Ainley
Yeah.
and the direction for just being like, yeah, no, we're going to put him right in your face. We're going to have him there the whole time. And then at the end reveal. And it's not even like a wig makeup job either, because it's like a bloody hologram. He turns it off and it's like face morphs.
That was cool. That was
it's a cool shot. And we get the wonderful sort of classic bit of master dialogue people bloody love putting in compilations. Oh, my dear Doctor, you have been naive. It's good to see Ainley back. I love Ainley. I think he's a fantastic performer, and his master gets so much more to do going forward. Like, he's, you know, Keeper Traken, he's amazing as Tremas. Logopolis, he's fun as the master, but it just sort of feels a bit like, what's going on? Planet of Maths? What? Castrovalva, he's kind of wasted again, because he's playing the long game with his plan, but he's also staring at Adric Boner and riding his cherry picker really slowly, and all that stuff. Time Flight is like, why? But he's not bad at it. It's just sort of like, why?
Yeah.
This one, he's getting to, like, you feel like they've gone, let's pull it back a little.
Yeah.
Not the performance per se, but the master's scheming. Quite literally, that even the Doctor says to him, this is small potatoes for you. And he's like, yeah, but if I mess with this part of history, and then this bit, and then this bit, and then this bit, and then this bit, within like 200, 300 years, I'll already have a firm grip on the planet's democracy, its wars, its weapons, its people. Skip forward a millennia and I'll rule this planet. And then I'll move on to the next one and I'll do the same. And the Doctor's like, what happens if you come to a planet that resists you? He says, well, I'll destroy them. You're like, oh, shoot. So this is what happened. This is what would happen if the meddling monk had actually been a villain and not just a meddler. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So remember, his thing was just, oh, King Harold didn't deserve like that. Like, I'm going to change the outcome. It's like, what are you doing, mate?
You cannot do this.
What are you doing? We cannot change history. Not one line. Not one line. But this time it's, you can't change history. Not one line. Oh my god. Peter is great in this one.
Yes.
Because he gets to play dress up for starters.
Yay.
He got a spacesuit in the last one, and this one he gets his his sort of, you know, King's Champion sort of
Fur
adornment. At one point he has to pick between the life of Tegan, who finally gets to change clothes, the life of Tegan, and the life of the Master. Because the Master's going to be thrust into the Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
And just before that happened, you went, the Iron Maiden's the TARDIS, isn't it? It's the Master's TARDIS. And then, were you in doubt for a moment when the men were holding him in it and he was clearly sort of in pain?
No.
Because it's such a great... Because the Doctor sort of reluctantly is like, he knows someone's going to get hurt. But if he has to choose between Tegan and the Master, he's going to make sure Tegan lives.
There was already an Iron Maiden there.
Yes, when we see Turlo back down in the dungeon, you see that there's another Iron Maiden. Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Why would you have to?
Why is there a duplicate King John?
I don't feel ready to talk about this.
You have to, I'm afraid. It's time.
The Master's using a certain race that can change its appearance.
Well, it's a weapon made by the Zeraphim.
Yeah.
From Time Flight. The handsome Squidwards, as we call them.
And it can change its appearance to help with...
What's it called, Boo?
It's like a chameleon, so it's called... Chameleon?
This is also from a box. All these stories, apart from... actually, no, all of these come from box sets.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Arkham Infinity was in the one with Tegan on the front. Snakedance's in...
we know they're rubbish,
Snakedance's in the Mara Tales box set. These three are in the Black Guardian trilogy box set, and this was in Chameleon Tales. Chameleon...
The shortest box set.
Oh, well, that's the thing. Chameleon... Backstory, I'm sure there'll be people who tell the story better elsewhere on the internet, but just here's the basic points. John Nathan Turner wanted a successor for K9. He wanted a robotic character that would make kids go, wow! How did they do that? So they employed a guy to create, essentially, a fairly advanced, for a TV show budget, animatronic. It moves, it's got lip syncing, like the lips move, aside from just the basic, like, you know, flapping of a mouth, like they no, like the lip curls, and it makes shapes of the letters with its mouth.
Oh, sorry.
It's got these like incredibly detailed eyes. It's got this like see-through panel in the head. It has breasts for some reason. It's got a Teletubby tummy over a Crichton tummy,
it looks
over
like
a skeletal rib. It's a bit weird, but it's an impressive piece of kit. And the idea is that It's a robot that is effectively, because the Zeraphim were like beings of mind and good and evil and that divide and all that stuff, it's a creature controlled by thought. So it has independent thought, but because it's also a robot, it can be semi-programmed. It's basically one of the robots from Star Wars. It's that kind of thing. Yeah. It's like it has a personality, but it's still...
the robots from Star Wars. Oh my God.
But it's still a tool.
Sorry.
It's still a tool. The badass robots from Battlestar Galactica versus the gay robots from Star Wars. Help me out, too! Simpsons reference.
But no, we've got to carry on. We're here to talk about...
Chameleon.
Spring.
No! Different episode, but still Star Wars. I appreciate it. Oh my God!
It's the same episode.
Is it the same episode?
It's about the
Luke, be a Jedi tonight.
Try.
Just be a Jedi tonight. Do it for Yoda while we serve the guests a soda, and do it for Chewie and the Ewoks and all the other puppets. Like Chameleon.
Is it try? What is it? Something tribe. Something.
I'll tell you
sci-fi con.
By try sci-fi con. I'll tell you what it is. It's a tangent. So, Chameleon.
Also one of the best episodes.
Yes. Where'd your leg? We see. The thing
is,
about that is. Mark Hamill, everybody.
Use the forks. Use the forks.
And we'll always know.
I think I left my lightsaber. Oh no! Wait, here it is. Oh, well, this Simpsons was good.
Chameleon. Chameleon's controlled by the Master's thought, and essentially what saves the day is him and the Doctor get into a battle of wills to control the robot.
Yeah.
At the end of it, the robot, in front of like the Fitzwilliams, who are basically going to murder the Doctor at this point because they've been led to believe he's an actual demon. Yeah. He manages to make the King transform into Tegan whilst Tegan is also in the room. Fitzwilliams see that the Doctor was indeed telling the truth, that the Master, who at this point has just re-revealed himself to them as, oh, my name is the Master and I'm here to get rid of the demons on behalf of the King. My name is the Master
and I'm here to...
Oh,
sorry.
But do you know what I mean? Like, no one questions that Sir Gillies is gone. They're just like, oh, who's this guy? He's the Master. Oh, cool, whatever.
Oh, sure.
And there's a very subtle use of the Master's catchphrase in there. Someone said, like, this is the Master. Yeah. You are to obey his every wish whilst we root the demons out. And it's like, there's his catchphrase, kind of. But Anthony Ainley gets to sort of work his Delgado a bit more in this. He's a bit more cunning. There's a lot more of methodical planning and gloating, especially when like the Doctor finally sort of sees Chameleon and approaches the Master and he's like, the Master's sort of going, yeah, you can change shape at will. Like, the Doctor goes, may I? The Master's like, after you. And they're suddenly very sophisticated because it's absolutely that thing of, I'm going to tell you my plan because you can't do anything about it. If you try, I will kill you.
Why do villains do that?
No, but he's not... Well, that's the thing. He's not got him like a death trap or anything. They're just having a civil conversation, and it's very reminiscent of like a lot of John and Roger scenes from the Unit era, isn't it? Where they just talk. Mm. The conversations are very tense, and it's that whole thing of like, you know, at the end of the conversation, the idea is the Master's going to be like, not so fast, and pull out a gun or whatever, and you're like, oh shit. Like, it's that kind of vibe, and it's pretty good. What happens to the Master at the end of this one? He gets swamped by peasants, doesn't he? He just get beaten.
Yeah,
the
Doctor kind of runs away.
Legs it, mate.
Yeah, in the TARDIS, and it leaves the Master there. What happens to the Master's TARDIS?
I can't remember. But yeah, so they get back into the ship, and Turlough's been running around getting captured every other 5 minutes. Tegan's been mostly cold and bored. And at the end, the Doctor kind of confronts... No, but it's true, though, isn't it? Although Tegan gets a couple of really killer lines in this one. She gets a few like really funny asides and sarcastic quips. But then at the end, the Doctor's like, you don't like the robot, do you? And she's like, is it staying with us? And he's like, I suppose it is. Well, I suppose it is. No harm, eh? I need her. And, who played King John? Gerald Flood, who plays King John, also voices Chameleon. He's great as the voice of Chameleon. It's quite good. He's sort of got this very, very pleasant sort of, jovial RP tone that kind of feels very, I don't know, C-3PO.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, and he's sort of, he always kind of is stiff. His arms are always in a certain sort of position. Albeit at one point it looks like he's pinching his cock, as you pointed out.
Sorry.
Because the arms barely move. And he never quite looks anyone dead in the eye.
No, he's always looking in the wrong direction
Mm.
because he has weird, creepy, rolly eyes.
And a head that goes...
It's horrifying and disgusting and should not be allowed.
Lucy doesn't like humanoid robots. They freak her out.
They are disgusting.
Except C-3PO. You like him, though, right?
So I don't like his eyes.
Oh, wow.
I've never liked C-3PO's eyes. Sorry, but I just don't. Even as a kid, hated him. Hated it.
So you preferred the badass robot from Battlestar Galactica versus the creepy-eyed robot from Star Wars.
No, I preferred R2-D2.
Aww. Oh no, he's fallen off a cliff.
When my mum played the Lego games, I used to constantly make her be R2-D2, and fall off of the edge of whatever she had played on.
But I'm sure you'd rather...
It got very annoying.
I'm sure you'd rather throw Chameleon off a cliff.
For my mum.
So as soon as this story finished, you turned to me and you went, he's not staying, is he? I went, Chameleon?
I said, if he's a companion, this is it. I'm not watching it anymore.
So I kind of broke protocol and I told you what happens with Chameleon, didn't I?
Yeah.
He was meant to have another scene in The Awakening. And then the next time we actually see him is in next series' third to last story. Planet of Fire. And then he's gone. The reason? The gentleman who created him died in horrible circumstances in a car crash, I think it was. Was it a car crash? I should probably read up on this. I don't want to be semi-respectful, even though this is bloody weird. Chameleon, yeah. So, the gentleman who created him, Mike Power, the software designer, was killed.
Mike Power. He's the man. I have a skill. I can turn a lot of things into a Simpsons quote. It's a bit
Where is
awkward
it?
when we're at family gatherings.
Where
You're in a
did I read
Simpsons
that?
hat. That's funny.
We're in a Simpsons hat, well done.
But you mustn't die.
Boating accident, sorry. He died in a boating accident. So the guy who created the software.
Ooh, that's grim, that.
He never passed on the info, nor was it easily accessible as to how to control Chameleon. So obviously they had to learn how to do it.
Like AI, that. Not AI. iRobot.
God. They had to learn how to do it. So that took a while. Plus it was cumbersome, difficult to operate, noisy. Sound familiar? I want a new canine. Alright? What John Nathan Turner meant was, I want a new robot character that will endear to the hearts of children watching the show. What they got was all the practical production problems of working with canine tenfold.
All your nightmares rolled into one.
Yeah. And then there's sort of jokingly that the Doctor Who, the Completely Useless Encyclopedia from 1996 goes on to refer to anyone who then sort of directly made new material for Chameleon has died quite young, in quite a sort of macabre sort of, oh no, come on, that's not funny, but also, that is odd, isn't it? So Chameleon is kind of referred to as the cursed companion.
He's bloody cursed, and it's disgusting and vile, and I hate it.
So I let Lou know that we Planet Fire. I let Lou know that we see it one more time. So don't worry about it.
I'm horrified.
But it's a shame, really, because aside from Chameleon, I think you really dug the King's Demons.
Yeah, I did. I really did.
I think if Chameleon was just
cool.
in it, you wouldn't have as much of a problem with it.
I've got to say, I was not expecting a robot at all. So when it happened, if there were a picture for my face, I would show you, but I don't have a picture of my face. But it was just pure disgust, horror, trying to keep the vomit in.
Because what was it? He says something like, "Hello, come in, my demon." Talk to the Doctor, or whatever. You just like,
my
oh,
demon,
my God.
and it's like, ugh, what is that? No. Oh, it was horrible. It's absolutely disgusting. We are. If there are robots in the future, we will be an anti-robot house. I'm sorry, I cannot cope. I don't even like having a Google Home in the house. When Christopher's not here, I turn it off because it freaks me out.
Hey
It's gonna
Google,
kill me in my sleep.
I love you.
You can't see, but I'm swooning.
Bloody hell.
She likes me.
She doesn't listen to me.
But apart from Chameleon beyond the story, in the case of the story, did you enjoy the King's
I've forgotten
Demons?
the whole story because I'm just concentrating on how horrific that robot is.
I think you're great at reviewing.
No, I did enjoy it. the acting was great. The costumes were great. I thought it was funny that Tegan was always cold, so the Doctor just kept putting more fur on her.
Yeah, she had more cloaks, like curtains, bloody rugs.
And she was
Eventually, he's just going to cut a tauntaun open and stuff her into it.
It's just like, I'll go back to the TARDIS. Why did they leave the TARDIS anyway? Why are they there?
For reasons.
It doesn't start explaining.
Yeah, because originally it was like we're going to go to Turlough's home, and then they went to Earth, and then at the end it's like we're going to go back to my home then, because I'm assuming the Doctor's like I just want to drop you off. But then they decide to go to the Eye of Orion.
Bye.
They decide to go to the Eye of Orion, and Tegan's like, oh, all right, well I'll come with you to that then.
The Doctor's like, no, you're a robotist. I'm going to take you home.
And we will go to the Eye of Orion. In our next story, which we'll talk about in the next video, because some people will be like, you've not done every story from this series. Believe me, the next one deserves a whole video of its own. And it technically wasn't broadcast as part of the series, it was broadcast like 7 months later, so shut up, stop being pedantic. Favourite story of the series? Can I take a guess at what your favourite might have been?
Go on.
Snakedance or Mawdryn Undead? That was the Brigadier one. That's probably one of those two.
Mawdryn Undead, because it was really, really funny and annoying to watch, like, boy run.
Wait, that's why you like it?
But it had the Brigadier in it!
Okay.
And I love me boy, Brigadier.
After Mawdryn?
The Snakedance.
Yeah.
And then
Arkham Infinity or King's Demons?
King's Demons.
Ooh, for me it's a toss-up between Arkham Infinity and Snakedance. I think the season starts off on two really strong stories. Like, one of the few times Gallifrey sort of is compelling to me, because at this point in the series it stopped being that planet of terrifying godlike beings that the second Doctor was afraid of, and has just become stuffy politician story after stuffy politician story. At least this time, the stuffy politician story is about someone trying to unmake creation.
Oh my gosh.
And there's an execution, and it feels very kind of, oh, this is horrible.
Yeah.
Like, they feel a bit more reckless, and you get to kind of see flash forwards of how the Time Lords will be regarded in years to come. As like, oh yeah, stuffy and boring. And then every now and again, they're absolute psychopaths
like
who will
ruthless,
kill it's the most normal thing to do if it'll solve a problem.
Yeah.
Plus Colin as Commander Maxwell is great. And it's weird that
Colin
stars in the first story of this series, and he also returns in the last story of next series. But that was Doctor Who Season 22. What's your favourite story from Doctor Who Season 22? Says Peter, breathlessly. Which is your fave? Which do you not care for? Ain't Chameleon a waste of time? Whatever your thoughts, let us know, and we will see you next time for not 1, not 2, not 3, not 5, but the 5 Doctors! Ha-ha! You'll get it next time.
Bye!
Goodbye!